Before the whispers began, before the smoke turned strange, the village of Acha was a place where mornings carried laughter and the air felt heavy with the scent of roasted yam, palm wine, and dew-laden earth. The sun rose over 3 low, rounded hills, spilling gold across the red clay huts, making their thatched roofs glow like embers in a hearth. Birds called to each other from the tops of mango and guava trees, and the gentle murmur of the stream threading through the village created a rhythm to life. The people of Acha believed in simple truths, respect for their elders, honesty before the gods, and the quiet power hidden in the everyday, like a woman's cooking pot, a single drumbeat, or a whispered prayer at dawn. In those calm mornings, among them lived a young woman named Uloma, the daughter of a humble widow who earned her living selling roasted yam by the roadside. Their small hut stood beside the stream where bamboo stalks bent with the wind, and fireflies gathered at dusk like shy spirits. Uloma was not born into wealth, yet she carried herself with a grace that drew people in, and everyone in Acha knew her name. They said her hands carried peace, for when she stirred her pots, the air itself seemed to soften. And like every good story in Acha, there was a boy. His name was Obika, the son of a palm wine tapper, known for his charm, his easy words, and the way his laughter could echo across the hills. He and Uloma had grown up side by side, climbing mango trees, fetching water from the cool, clear stream, and sitting beneath the moon as elders told stories of spirits walking the night, their eyes glowing in the dark. Everyone believed they would marry one day. Even Obika's mother would smile, calling Uloma, our wife, and Uloma's heart would flutter in response, like a caged dove finally feeling the wind. Yet love in Acha was never simple. It could sweeten the tongue with whispers. When Obika left for the city to pursue a small business, the entire village celebrated, beating drums, singing, and laughing with pride. Uloma, more than anyone, felt her chest swell with hope and joy. She packed his clothes meticulously, cooked his favorite dishes for his farewell meal, and promised to care for his mother as if she were her own. Obika clasped her hand and said, "I'll send for you when things are better." Those words became a lantern in the dark, a fragile flame to guide her through months of waiting. Uloma continued her rhythm of life, cooking for every wedding, every festival, every celebration that brought the village together. She pounded yam until her palms went red, stirred massive pots of soup for guests she barely knew, and smiled as if each dish carried a secret message of hope. When friends walked down the aisle, radiant in their new lives, she whispered softly, "One day, it will be me." Her eyes sparkled with dreams that shimmered like flames in the night. And in the moonlight, during the fire on quiet nights, Uloma often walked to the river to fetch water, her wrapper trailing in silver moonlight, and the wind carrying the rustle of bamboo and distant drums across the hills. In the reflection of the water, she sometimes glimpsed not just herself, but other faces, faceless women stirring dark, oily waters, whispering her name, vanishing when she blinked. Fireflies danced around her like tiny spirits, the surface of the river trembling with their light. Each time she sensed a presence, a shiver ran down her spine, a subtle warning that something unseen was stirring. The elders had often said that a woman's heart is like firewood. It can burn quietly for years until one careless spark sets it aflame. And Uloma's spark had already arrived, disguised as returning footsteps in fine clothes and a secret that should never have reached her ears. One bright morning, word spread that a grand wedding would occur. Drums rolled across the hills, villagers streamed to help, and Uloma, as ever, volunteered to cook. Before dawn, she rose, tied her wrapper tight, and began stirring. No one suspected that the wedding she was preparing for would become the one that broke her heart. The fire beneath the pot crackled unevenly, sending a peculiar fragrance of oil and herbs into the air. The wind shifted suddenly, carrying a strange heaviness, a pressure that pressed down on the chest of anyone nearby. Somewhere, behind the hills, a rooster crowed once, then fell silent. As Uloma wiped sweat from her brow, the smoke thickened unnaturally, curling and twisting like serpents. Inside, throughout the village, unease spread like wildfire. Dogs howled, refusing to enter Uloma's compound. Children clung to their mothers, their small faces pale in fear. The wind whipped violently through palm fronds, carrying whispers that no one understood, and the elders' frowns deepened. Villagers gathered in the square, glancing at the kitchen where smoke moved unnaturally, thickening with each passing minute. Obika's absence left a hollow in hearts, yet all eyes were on Uloma, the girl who stirred the pot with hands trembling, yet courageous. Murmurs of spirits, curses. Nuefa, the village priest, knelt before the shrine of Ani, his staff gripped tightly, eyes wide with awe and terror. Smoke curled around him, strange and luminous, forming patterns that seemed almost alive. Behind him, Uloma and her mother crouched, trembling yet watching, hearts pounding. The spirits feed on assumptions, on longing, and on silent prayers left unanswered, Nuefa whispered, voice barely audible over the crackle of fire and the rush of wind. As the sun began to set, the village square transformed into a stage of reckoning. Uloma stood in the center, her white wrapper whipping in the wind, hair wild, eyes bright with defiance and sorrow. The cracked clay pot glowed faintly, as though holding the entire weight of fate within its rim. Lightning split the sky, rain began to fall, and villagers circled her, a mixture of fear. And then it happened. In a blinding whirl of wind, dust, and golden light, Uloma knelt by the pot, hand resting gently on its rim. Slowly, impossibly, her form dissolved, light and mist spiraling upward. Villagers shielded their eyes, murmuring prayers and exclamations. Nuefa's staff glowed faintly, divine energy pulsing through the square. Later, in the dim light of Ani's shrine, Nuefa placed the restored pot carefully on the wooden altar. Candles flickered, palm leaves rustled softly, and feathers glimmered in the warm candlelight. Villagers peeked from the doorway, faces etched with reverence, awe, and lingering fear. Light streamed through cracks, mingling with flame, casting long shadows across the walls. The air felt sacred, heavy with the sense that balance had been restored. Years passed, and Acha bathed once more in warm golden sunlight. Women stirred their pots peacefully, smoke rising straight and calm into the sky. Children's laughter echoed across the hills as they ran to the stream, splashing and playing. Mama Ozima, now older and wiser, stirred her pot and whispered prayers, her movements steady yet filled with gentle reverence. The clay pot gleamed faint. On a quiet afternoon, by the roadside, an elderly woman stirred her pot while a traveler paused, curious, skeptical, and hesitant. Steam rose, shimmering golden in the warm light, faintly carrying the sound of a laughter that seemed too soft to be real. The woman's smile was knowing, her eyes twinkling with as dusk fell over Acha, a lone clay pot sat over a small fire. The flames flickered in the gentle evening breeze, forming, for a heartbeat, the shape of a woman's smiling face before fading into shadow. Leaves rustled softly, the wind carrying faint echoes of distant thunder, and the village settled into quiet reflection. The lesson remained in the heart.